The economy is in a rough spot, right? But the class of 2014 could be facing an even tougher job market. After 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars in debt, many grads looking to land their dream job. So what should they do? Job expert Tony Beshara, president of recruiting firm Babbage & Associates and author, is here to give his must-know tips. Tony, it's always so good to have you here. You know, we were just talking about the economy, right? And how it's really not going anywhere fast. The growth in the first quarter, 0.1%. Now, how does that impact the employer's mindset?
Well, and kids, everybody looking for a job, but especially students out of school, need to realize that employers are operating with doubt, uncertainty, and fear. They're concerned about their taxes because our government thinks they're getting rich. They're concerned about compliance issues. Every company in the country spends $10,800 a year on compliance issues per employee. And then we got Obamacare coming down the pipe, which every employer in the world is all concerned about. So companies are operating under doubt, uncertainty, and fear. And anybody, especially college grads, need to realize that when they interview that the employer is operating that way. And if they help him solve his problems to waylay his fears, then we're in good shape.
You know, I graduated into a recession, and let me tell you, it sets you back sometimes. I mean, you lose earnings that you may never get back. So it's a real setback, or it can be for people. And we know there's some important numbers here I want to show. 1 in 5 young high school grads and 1 in 10 recent college grads are sitting on the couch, mom and dad's couch, most likely.
Right.
So what do you say to those people who know, you know, what's at risk, what's at stake is very big indeed? How do they overcome that?
Well, they need to start early in trying to find a job. Preferably their freshman year, but it's a little too late by the time you're a senior. But you really have to go out there and work at it. The jobs are there. There are 4 million jobs in the United States that are going unfilled, but the technology and the experience and sometimes the kind of training the schools aren't giving people. So they need to be aware that they need to find those kinds of things and investigate them. There are 1.8 million kids that are graduating. They're going to be unemployed for 7 to 8 months and graduate with $24,000 in debt. They better get with it.
So would you tell these kids, you know, look, take any job you can? Should they take something that's completely out of their field? Do something, you know, pour coffee at Starbucks? Should they do that? Be a barista? Anything
you need to do. 70% of the kids that graduate are going to get jobs that don't have anything to do with their degree. Nothing to do, and you better get used to it. This economy, I've seen 6 recessions since I've been in this business, and this one's going to be the longest. It's going to go on for another couple of years. So if you're waiting for, you know, for nirvana or something to fall in your lap, it ain't going to happen. Get out there, find any job that you can, give value to an employer, and then work your way up.
Tony, tell me when you're in the job interviews, because that's, I mean, if you can land an actual interview, this is your chance to drive it home. What are the kinds of things you say, the kinds of attitudes you bring into that room when you're talking to somebody who could actually hire you?
The biggest mistake most people make is they go in with the idea of, what are you going to do for me? And you got to go in with the attitude of, here's what I can do for you. Here's how I can make your company better. I can either make you money or I can save you money, but I'm going to make your company better. Here's what I've done in the past. If I'm in school, I got good grades. 60% of the kids that work their way through school or have some kind of part-time job have a 60% better chance of getting hired, because employers look and figure, well, if the kids work their way through school or even worked free in some kinds of situations on campus, they're going to be a better worker, and they demonstrate their ability to rise above everybody else.
Really, the pressure is on what you can prove you've already done when you sit down in that job interview. There's no doubt about that. Before you go, I just have to ask you, our poll question tonight is, do college grads expect too much? What would you say, Tony?
Yeah, they do, and part of it is because their expectations aren't necessarily set well by the institutions. And I taught on the college level before I got in this business. The schools aren't explaining to the kids, look, this is what you're going to be faced with when you graduate. Their attitude is, you get a degree and you go to work. Kids and students and parents need to start asking these schools before we spend a couple of $100,000 or 150 to 200 grand in your school, how many of your graduates went to work within 3 or 4 months after they graduated? That's going to be some of the answers people ought to get.
Because those schools can make it happen, that's for darn sure. Tony, thanks for coming on. It's always terrific to have you on the show.
A pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Now we want to know what you think. Here's the question tonight. Do college grads expect too much? Log on to jerrywillis.com. Vote on the right-hand side of the screen. I'll share the results at the end of tonight's show.